Good morning. I'm so glad you're here today. I believe you didn't just stumble onto this message by accident. This is a divine setup. I believe something in this moment is about to shift in your life. You've been carrying some confusion, maybe even some pain from people who were supposed to be with you, but weren't. I want to talk to you today about fake friends. Now, we all face situations where people we trusted let us down. People we opened our hearts to, they turned their backs. We thought they were loyal, we thought they were for us, but they weren't. And it's tempting in those moments to get bitter, to question ourselves, to shut everyone out. But let me tell you, God sees who left you. He sees who smiled to your face but talked behind your back. He sees the betrayal, and He has a plan through it. You see, not everyone who walks with you is really walking for you. Some people are assigned to your life only for a season, not a lifetime. And if you try to hold on to what God is trying to remove, you may miss what He's trying to bring in. Sometimes the reason the relationship failed, the reason the friendship crumbled, is because God exposed what you couldn't see. He let that mask fall so you wouldn't keep trusting someone who never had your best interest at heart. Don't let fake friends harden your heart. Don't let what they did keep you from being who you were called to be. You're still loving. You're still valuable. You're still chosen. And yes, people may have used you, but God will use their betrayal to launch you into blessing. Think about this. If Judas never betrayed Jesus, the cross would have never happened. The betrayal was painful, but it was necessary. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most are the ones who push you the furthest toward your purpose. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You don't need a crowd to confirm your calling. One real friend from God is better than 100 fake ones who only hang around when it's convenient. Keep your head up. Shake off the disappointment. Let go of who left. If they were really for you, they couldn't have walked away. And if they walked away, they were never really for you. God is doing a new thing. He's removing the counterfeit so He can release the genuine. He's exposing fake support so you can discover true strength. This is not the end. It's a new beginning. And the friends He's about to bring, they'll love you for who you are, not for what you have. They'll pray for you, not prey on you. Don't waste time mourning who left. Celebrate who's coming. Because when God removes a fake friend, it's only to make room for a faithful one. Stay encouraged, stay focused, and stay faithful. Because the best people, the best relationships, the best days are still ahead of you. There are moments in life when we confuse proximity with loyalty. Just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they are for you. Just because they're clapping when you succeed doesn't mean they're celebrating from a pure heart. We have to learn that not everyone who walks with us is meant to go where we're going. Some people were only assigned to a certain part of the journey. They were there for a chapter, not the entire book. Too often, we're so eager to bring everyone along that we overlook the signs. We ignore the gut feeling. We silence the quiet caution in our spirit. And in doing so, we give access to people who don't honor what we carry. We allow voices to influence us that were never meant to be in our space. When we do that, we run the risk of misplacing our peace, our focus, and even our purpose. You don't need a large circle to be effective. You don't need to be surrounded by people all the time to validate that you're on the right path. In fact, many of the greatest breakthroughs in life happen in seasons of separation. That's when God starts revealing who's really meant to sit at the table and who was only passing through. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who secretly doubt you the most. They'll smile, but it's not sincere. They'll show up, but it's only because they're keeping tabs. It's not love, it's control. They don't really want to see you win. They just don't want you to rise so far above them that they can't reach you anymore. That's not friendship. That's possession. And the longer you allow it to continue, the more it chips away at your self-worth. You don't have to apologize for protecting your space. You don't have to feel guilty for recognizing that someone isn't healthy for your spirit. There's wisdom in being careful with your company. The truth is, some people don't come into your life to add. They come to distract. They come to drain. They come to gather information, not to offer support. And if you're not discerning, you'll find yourself constantly pouring out while never being poured into. There's a difference between being kind and being a doormat. You can be loving and still have boundaries. You can be gracious and still say no. You can walk in forgiveness without allowing someone continued access to your inner world. It's not bitterness. It's balance. When you've been burned enough times, you learn to build wisely. You stop inviting everyone to the table just because they say the right things. You start looking at the fruit, not just the flowers, because words are easy, but character reveals everything. People who are meant to be in your life will bring peace, not pressure. They will celebrate you in private, not just in public. They'll pray for you when you're low and protect you when you're not around. If someone is constantly making you feel small, questioning your every move, or competing with you instead of collaborating, that's a red flag. Real friends don't need to dim your light to feel seen. Real connections don't manipulate your emotions to maintain their control. As you grow, your circle will shrink. That's not a bad thing. It's a sign of progress. The higher you go, the fewer people can breathe at that altitude. Not because they're bad, but because they're not built for where you're headed. And if you keep trying to drag everyone with you, you may find yourself stuck. You'll slow down your own journey trying to carry the weight of people who were never meant to walk the whole path with you. There's a certain kind of courage it takes to say, I love you, but I have to let you go. To realize that just because you have history with someone doesn't mean you have a future with them. Loyalty is a beautiful thing, but only when it's mutual. When it becomes one-sided, it turns into obligation. And obligation is not the same as love. God gives us discernment for a reason. If He starts pulling your spirit away from someone, don't ignore it. If you feel anxious every time they call, or heavy after you leave their presence, pay attention. That's not coincidence. That's protection. Sometimes we're so loyal to people that we override our own peace. We keep giving chances when the patterns haven't changed. We hold on to titles, best friend, day one, ride or die. Even when the fruit of the relationship is rotten, it's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to realize that who you're becoming no longer aligns with who someone else chooses to be. Growth requires separation. Destiny demands focus. And peace is far too precious to be constantly disturbed by someone who doesn't value you. You're not being mean, you're being wise. If you keep letting the wrong people sit at your table, don't be surprised when they don't respect the meal. Don't be surprised when they criticize your portion, mock your preparation, or steal what's not theirs. Your table is sacred. What God is doing in your life is sacred. Not everyone can appreciate it, and not everyone should have a front row seat. You have to start guarding your table like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Your joy, your clarity, your focus, your calling, these things thrive in the right environment. The wrong voices can plant seeds of doubt, fear, and confusion that delay your progress. You don't have to entertain that anymore. You've come too far to let someone who doesn't even value your presence disrupt your purpose. You don't owe everyone access. Just because someone was there in one season doesn't mean they belong in the next. Sometimes, the most powerful move you can make is to quietly remove yourself from the space where you're merely tolerated and position yourself where you are genuinely appreciated. There is strength in solitude. There is power in peace. And there is freedom in knowing that you no longer have to keep forcing connections that no longer fit. Let God handle the pruning. Let Him rearrange the table. The right people will stay. The wrong ones will drift. And in the end, what's left will be real, refined, and ready to walk with you into your next season. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table, and that's okay. Love them, bless them, release them. Because what's ahead of you requires clear space and clear focus and people who are just as serious about your purpose as you are. There are few things in life more painful than betrayal. It comes unexpectedly, often from the people we least expect. It's not the stranger who wounds the deepest. It's the friend you trusted, the one you confided in, the one you helped. You gave them space in your heart, and they used it against you. That kind of pain is heavy. It lingers. It makes you question not just others, but yourself. You start to wonder what you missed, how you didn't see it coming, or if you're just not good at trusting the right people. But here's the truth that brings healing. What feels like the end is often the beginning. The betrayal that shattered your heart didn't take God by surprise. He saw it. He heard the conversations you weren't in. He noticed the motives they tried to hide. And while it hurts deeply, it's not wasted. It's part of something bigger than what you can see. What was meant to break you is going to bless you. What they meant to ruin, God is going to use to rebuild. So often in life, our breakthroughs are wrapped in brokenness. Our greatest blessings are born out of places we wish we never had to walk through. If you look back, you'll see it wasn't in the easy seasons that you grew the most. It was in the painful ones. When you were overlooked. When you were lied to. When they walked away. That's when your strength was forged. That's when you found out who you really were. And that's when you began to realize that rejection doesn't mean you're unworthy. It means God is redirecting you. Sometimes, God allows certain people to exit your life, not because you did something wrong, but because their presence was blocking what He wanted to do next. As long as they stayed close, you were limited. You kept pouring into something that wasn't pouring back. You were carrying weight that wasn't meant to go with you. And when God has a purpose for your life, He won't let the wrong people hold up your progress. It's not always easy to see that in the moment. Betrayal feels like devastation, not divine alignment. But look closer. When the dust settles, you'll often find that what felt like a loss was really God making room for something greater. You stopped trying to please people who didn't care. You started healing wounds you didn't know you had. You became more focused, more discerning, more aware of what truly matters. What they did may have hurt you, but it didn't cancel what God promised you. In fact, it may have positioned you for it. Because here's what happens when you're betrayed. You stop depending on the approval of others. You stop leaning on shallow support systems. You stop looking to people to validate what only God can confirm. And that shift, though painful, is powerful. Think of how many times in history betrayal led to elevation. When Joseph's brothers threw him in a pit, they thought they were destroying him. But it was that betrayal that set him on the path to the palace. Without their jealousy, he never would have ended up in Egypt. Without the false accusation, he never would have been placed in the prison that connected him to the cupbearer. Every moment that looked like a setback was really a setup. When Jesus was betrayed with a kiss, it led to the fulfillment of the greatest promise the world has ever known. That betrayal opened the door to redemption for all humanity. But in the moment, it looked like defeat. It looked like darkness had won. But we know now it was all part of a plan. That's how God works. He doesn't just fix what's broken. He uses it. He turns betrayal into blessing. He takes the very thing they thought would destroy you and transforms it into the platform for your purpose. Not in spite of the pain, but through it. When you've been betrayed, the easy response is to close off your heart, to become guarded, to let bitterness creep in. But that only allows the wound to stay open. Healing comes when you choose to trust again. Not necessarily in people, but in God's plan, in His justice, in His timing, in His ability to bring beauty out of the ashes. You may not see the full picture now, but trust that He's weaving something out of the pieces you didn't ask to carry. One day, you'll look back and realize that betrayal wasn't the end. It was the beginning of clarity. It showed you who was real and who was pretending. It taught you to stop placing your peace in other people's hands. And most of all, it positioned you for something you couldn't have reached if you'd stayed connected to what was draining you. What if the betrayal wasn't an attack? It was an answer. What if you had been praying for elevation and the way God answered was by removing who couldn't go with you? What if He allowed the mask to fall so you wouldn't build your future on a lie? Sometimes betrayal is God's mercy in disguise. Not to harm you, but to help you. Not to wound you, but to warn you. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to feel the sting. But don't stay stuck in what happened. Don't replay the conversations. Don't dwell on the what ifs. What they did was real, but it's not your whole story. It's a chapter, not the conclusion, and the rest of your story. It's still being written by a faithful author. He sees what's been done in secret. He knows the motives. He knows the pain. And He knows how to restore everything that was lost, plus more. You won't just survive the betrayal. You'll come out stronger, wiser, more equipped, more aware of your value. Because sometimes the way God promotes you is by allowing someone to push you out of a place you were too loyal to leave. Let go of the bitterness. Release the resentment. Stop trying to make sense of what doesn't. The blessing is not in the betrayal itself, but in what God will bring from it. And if you keep your heart right, if you keep walking in integrity, if you keep trusting God instead of trying to fix it yourself, you'll see Him turn it all around. They meant to hurt you, but it became the very thing that unlocked your healing. They tried to silence you, but it only gave your voice more power. They thought they ended something, but God was just beginning something far greater. Betrayal is not the end. It's a doorway. And what's waiting on the other side will be worth every tear you cried and every moment you question why. You'll see what they meant for harm, God meant for your good. Life is full of connections. We are constantly surrounded by people, at home, at work, in our social circles, even online. Many of these people enter quietly, often without any red flags or warning signs. Some arrive with smiles, warm words, and good energy. But over time, their true intentions start to show. What we thought was genuine support may reveal itself as silent jealousy. What seemed like honest friendship may turn out to be selfish convenience. That's why discernment is so important. It is one of the most powerful and underrated gifts you can possess. It helps you see beyond what people say. It allows you to feel what can't be spoken, and it gives you the wisdom to respond, not emotionally, but spiritually and wisely. You can't always stop people from entering your life, but you can stop them from staying. That's where discernment steps in. It's not about being suspicious or paranoid. It's about being aware. It's not about rejecting everyone. It's about recognizing who's really for you and who's only with you for what they can gain. Some people don't show up to support you. They show up to study you, to imitate your steps, to drain your energy, to take your kindness for granted. But discernment is what helps you catch it before it corrupts your peace. So many times people ignore their instincts. They feel something's off, but they wave it away. They explain it away. They convince themselves to give it time. They say things like, maybe I'm just overthinking, or they've been through a lot, or they didn't mean it like that. But deep down, there's a discomfort that never quite leaves. Discernment often speaks in whispers. It's not always loud. It doesn't always give you proof, but it gives you a nudge, a feeling, an uneasiness in your spirit. The mistake many people make is not trusting that feeling until the damage is already done. Discernment doesn't always tell you what someone is doing. It just alerts you that something is not right. And that's enough. You don't need to catch someone in a lie to realize they're not trustworthy. You don't need evidence to sense when someone's presence is more harmful than helpful. You don't have to wait until betrayal hits you in the face to start protecting your space. The sooner you recognize something isn't healthy, the quicker you can adjust your boundaries and realign your peace. This isn't about walking around guarded or closed off. It's about being wise with your energy and selective with your trust. The more intentional you are with who you allow close to you, the more room you create for meaningful, healthy, and honest relationships. You don't have to let everyone in just because they're smiling, as smiles can be masks. Compliments can be manipulation. Discernment is what sees through the performance and notices the pattern. Many people fall into cycles of being used, manipulated, or disappointed over and over again. Not because they're weak, but because they don't listen to their inner voice. They confuse being nice with being naive. They try so hard to see the good in people that they overlook the consistent red flags. But eventually, you learn that loving people doesn't mean ignoring truth. Being kind doesn't mean being blind. You can love from a distance. You can forgive without reconnecting. You can be gracious without being gullible. Sometimes discernment will tell you to walk away without a clear reason. You won't have a long list of justifications. You'll just know deep in your spirit that something isn't right. And that's okay. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. You don't have to justify why you're creating distance. Some things are spiritual before they are visible. You may not see it now, but later you'll look back and be grateful you listened. You'll realize that avoiding that connection saved you months or years of unnecessary heartache. You don't have to wait until people show you their worst to know they're not right for your life. Pay attention to the small signs, the way they react to your wins, the way they suddenly make everything about themselves, the way they never apologize, only justify, the way you feel drained instead of lifted after spending time with them. These are all signs that your spirit is being pulled in the wrong direction. And sometimes it's not even that they're a bad person. They're just not your person. They're not aligned with your values, your growth, or your future. That's when discernment gives you clarity. It allows you to release people without bitterness, to let them go without drama, to understand that not everyone who starts with you is meant to finish with you. There will be moments in your journey when you outgrow certain relationships, not because you've changed for the worse, but because you've changed for the better. You're more self-aware. You're more focused. You're more in tune with your purpose. And that new version of you requires a new environment, one that honors your growth, not one that constantly questions it. People who are not assigned to your future will begin to feel uncomfortable in your present. That's not something to fear. It's something to understand. When discernment kicks in, don't silence it just to keep someone around. You'll only delay what's meant for you. You'll stay in places that feel familiar but are no longer fruitful. You'll shrink yourself to maintain connections that were never meant to last. True freedom comes when you honor what you feel in your spirit more than what you hear with your ears. When you stop explaining away what you know deep down. When you trust that the same God who gives you peace can also warn you when peace is absent. Discernment is that still, small voice, that gentle urging, that quiet discomfort. And the more you listen to it, the stronger it becomes. You can't afford to ignore it anymore. The stakes are too high. Your purpose is too important. Your peace is too valuable. Start using that gift. Start checking in with your spirit before you open the door to your emotions. Start watching patterns, not just promises. Start trusting what God is showing you, not just what people are telling you. It's not your job to fix everyone. It's not your role to carry people who don't want to change. Some people come into your life to teach you, not to stay with you. Discernment helps you know the difference. It helps you say goodbye without guilt. It helps you move forward without regret. And most of all, it keeps you aligned with the people and places that nourish your soul, not drain it. You have the gift. You have the insight. You have the intuition. Don't let it go unused. Don't drown it out with noise or doubt. Use it, trust it. Guard your space. Your destiny depends on it. When someone betrays you, when someone you trusted exposes their true intentions, the natural reaction is pain. It hurts when the people you confided in, the ones you supported, the ones you let into your heart, turn around and wound you. That pain doesn't just stay in the moment. It lingers. It echoes in your mind, plays over and over, and tempts you to hold on to anger. You may not want to admit it, but bitterness starts to grow in those hidden corners of your heart. It begins as a defense. You think, if I don't care, I can't be hurt again. But that's the trap. Bitterness doesn't protect you. It poisons you. It disguises itself as strength, but it robs you of your joy, your peace, your clarity. There's a point in everyone's life where they must decide how they will respond to the things that were meant to break them. You can either let what happened make you harder or let it make you wiser. You can either allow the betrayal to take root in your soul, or you can rise from it with more grace, more wisdom, more strength than you had before. Becoming bitter is easy. It requires no effort. It comes naturally when you've been wronged. But becoming better, that takes intention. That takes maturity. That takes a choice to grow in the middle of what tried to destroy you. People will disappoint you. People will lie, manipulate, take advantage, and walk away. That's the reality of life. But your response determines whether you stay stuck in their actions or rise into your own healing. You don't control what they did, but you control what you do next. Holding on to resentment doesn't punish them. It punishes you. They may not even be thinking about what they did. They may be living their lives unbothered and unaffected. But if you're still replaying their words, still mourning the trust that was broken, still angry at the silence or the betrayal, then you're letting their actions continue to write your story. It's not about denying the pain or pretending it didn't happen. It's about deciding that their choices won't define your future. When you choose to become better, you take your power back. You say, I'm not going to let this harden me. I'm not going to become what hurt me. I'm not going to respond to hate with hate or lies with lies. I'm going to heal. I'm going to grow. I'm going to rise. That shift doesn't happen overnight. Some wounds run deep. The betrayal might have come from someone you never thought would hurt you. Maybe it was a childhood friend, a family member, a mentor, someone you loved deeply. The loss of trust cuts deeper than the words or actions themselves. But you are not bound to what happened. You are not obligated to carry pain that was never yours to begin with. You can acknowledge what happened, grieve what was lost, and still move forward with your dignity intact. Becoming better doesn't mean you never feel the pain. It means you don't let the pain lead your decisions. It means you take the lessons, but leave the bitterness. It means you walk through the fire, but refuse to come out burned. The people who tried to break you didn't win. The fact that you're still standing, still believing, still moving forward is proof of that. Bitterness will always try to convince you that you're being strong. But real strength is refusing to become what tried to harm you. You don't have to fight bitterness on your own. When you feel overwhelmed with anger or sorrow, take it to a higher place. You're not expected to carry every wound by yourself. There is healing available when you surrender the pain instead of storing it. That doesn't mean you forget what happened. It means you trust that justice, restoration, and peace are bigger than revenge. It means you believe that there's more for your future than what someone took from your past. When you become better, you create space for the right people to come into your life. Bitterness builds walls that keep everyone out. It whispers that no one is trustworthy, that everyone is the same, that it's safer to stay isolated than to risk being hurt again. But healing breaks those walls down. It reminds you that while some people will fail you, not everyone will. It helps you see that good still exists, that true loyalty is still out there, that the love you gave wasn't wasted. It just wasn't received by the right person. One of the most powerful things you can do is love again after betrayal. To smile again after the tears. To trust again after being let down. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you strong. That's how you win. That's how you reclaim what was taken. That's how you refuse to let bitterness be your story. Every time you choose better over bitter, you grow. You evolve. You step into the version of yourself that can't be shaken by someone else's brokenness. You realize that their behavior was a reflection of them and not a definition of you. And that realization brings freedom. Your energy is too valuable to waste on resentment. Your time is too precious to spend on replaying old wounds, and your heart is too important to lock behind bitterness. You were made to feel deeply, to love boldly, to live freely. Don't let someone else's smallness shrink you. Don't let their betrayal define your identity. You are more than the hurt. You are more than the disappointment. You are still worthy of the things that were taken. You are still called to purpose. You are still being shaped into something stronger. And when you finally look back, you won't see the betrayal as the thing that broke you. You'll see it as the turning point. The place where you decided you weren't to carry the bitterness any longer. The place where you found your strength. The place where you stood up, dusted yourself off, and said, I'm going to become better because of this. Not bitter because of it. This is your moment to release what no longer serves you. To let go of the weight. To refuse to relive what's already happened. You're not stuck in what was. You're growing into what is. And that future, it's still bright. It's still possible. It's still full of new people, new joy, and new peace. The people who tried to write you off didn't realize they were writing your comeback. The betrayal didn't bury you. It birthed you. So keep walking, keep healing, keep rising. Don't carry what was meant to be left behind. You were never meant to live better. You were meant to live better. And that choice, that shift, is the beginning of everything new. You've come too far to let betrayal break you. You've endured too much to let fake friends define your journey. Yes, the pain is real. The disappointment is real. But so is the growth. So is the healing. So is the strength rising within you right now. You've learned that not everyone deserves a seat at your table. And that's not a loss. It's wisdom. You're no longer inviting people based on history, but based on harmony. You're no longer entertaining those who drain you, but embracing those who honor your presence. And when someone leaves, you don't chase. You understand now that all removal is rejection. Sometimes it's protection. You've discovered that betrayal can be a strange kind of blessing. It doesn't feel like it in the moment, but eventually, you'll see how it redirected your path, deepened your discernment, and pushed you into a new level of purpose. What was meant to destroy you only developed you. What tried to bring you down is now what's lifting you up. And speaking of discernment, you're learning to use it, no longer ignoring the red flags. No longer confusing charisma with character. You're trusting that still, small voice inside you that sees what smiles can't hide. And because of that, you're more protected than ever. Not bitter, not guarded, but wise, intentional, and at peace with saying no when needed. And above all, you've made a decision that will change everything. You've chosen to become better, not bitter. You've chosen to rise instead of retreat. You've chosen to keep your heart open without leaving it unguarded. You're not carrying anger, you're carrying insight. You're not chasing revenge, you're walking in release. So as you move forward, walk boldly, speak kindly, love deeply, but stay aware. Don't let fake friends change your spirit. Let them change your standards. Don't shrink because of who hurt you. Grow because of what you survived. You were never meant to stay stuck in betrayal. You were meant to rise from it with purpose in your step and power in your voice. This is not the end of your story. This is the moment where everything turns. where your boundaries get stronger, where your circle gets smaller, but richer, where your peace becomes your priority, and where the people around you are not just present, but proven. You're not bitter. You're better. And your future is brighter than any betrayal behind you.